My friends, tonight the world seems to tremble, and with good reason. The headlines declare what few could have imagined. The supreme leader of Iran is dead, killed in a US-led strike. The map of the Middle East is redrawn overnight, but the meaning of this act stretches far beyond borders and battlefields. It reaches into Congress, into family kitchens, and into the hearts of people everywhere, asking not just what comes next, but what kind of nation will we now become? Picture a house in Middle America. Evening falls. A family clusters around the radio, the news crackling with talk of missiles, war, and uncertain futures. That is not a scene from history. It's tonight. The voices are anxious, wondering if the world has slipped into something dark, or if perhaps a new dawn waits on the far side of fear. Let us then set the table as plainly as we can. In recent days, protests raged across the streets of Tehran, Mashhad, and Shiraz. The people of Iran, bruised by hardship and harsh rule, demanded more from those above them. The reply came not from words, but from warplanes high overhead and missiles striking deep into the night. President Trump authorized, alongside Israel, an attack aimed at Iran's command and control. Ayatollah Khamenei, the face and fist of the regime, was killed, so say both American and Iranian news. That moment echoes everywhere. The response was swift. Iran, grief-stricken and furious, lashed back at nearby allies of the United States. The Revolutionary Guard, stern and silent, now holds the levers of power while clerics look for order amid the storm. World markets shake. Oil surges higher as ships and pipelines suddenly seem fragile once more. European voices urge caution. Congress erupts in debate, with many furious that such a grave action came without their consent or their vote. But is strength alone enough to keep a republic safe? That question now hangs over every conversation, every cabinet meeting, every family table, and it will not answer itself. Think of a Navy ship rocking in the gray waters of the Gulf. Young men and women at their posts, following orders that shape history in an instant. Some say this is how great nations must act, swiftly, with strength, doing what must be done in the face of danger. Indeed, the threat of nuclear escalation was real, and our friends in Israel and beyond looked to us. But power, when taken up in haste, can cast as long a shadow as inaction. This is the contradiction Americans must weigh, and it is not new. In restless Tehran, crowds mourn and rage at once. In quiet towns here at home, uncertainty seeps in like a cold fog. Wall Street wonders if tomorrow brings a market crash. At every gas station, the numbers climb as oil becomes the world's worry. Schools let out in the afternoon and parents wonder aloud, will the troubles far away reach us here? Our Constitution, written for storms such as this, says only Congress can declare war. Yet time and again, presidents have pressed the boundaries, testing what one leader, alone, may decide in the heat of the moment. The War Powers Resolution was meant to hold the line. Now, many ask, was it ignored? Or is this, as the White House claims, a defense the moment demanded? What happens when power outruns process? The cost of action may be less clear than the dust on battlefields far away. Imagine the halls of Congress, lights still burning deep into the night. Elected officials, Democrats and Republicans, old hands and newcomers, stand at microphones, their voices stern but shaken. Some defend the strike as necessary, others warn that the law itself has been trampled. Outside, quiet protesters gather on the grassy mall, candles flicker and the cold wind rises. All know that something heavy has begun, but none can see where it ends. Yet while debate rages at the top, the consequences trickle down to every rung of society. When we see the news of war in another land, it is tempting to say, "What can I do? I am only one person." That is an old American question, and it is always answered anew. For every great storm in our nation's past, from Gettysburg's muddy fields to the lines at the banks during the Great Depression, there were those who felt small, uncertain, and powerless. But history is not made only in the White House, nor even in Congress. It is written in kitchens, classrooms, union halls, and in quiet acts of courage no camera ever finds. Picture a small-town mayor in Kansas gathering her neighbors for a town meeting. The old wooden chairs scrape the gym floor. Folks listen closely as she reads a letter from a local boy, stationed now in the Gulf, asking them to look out for my folks until I get home. In scenes like this, worry and patriotism mix, not in grand speeches, but in simple promises kept. Why does this matter? Because the harm from mighty decisions is not measured only in world maps or breaking headlines. It is carried home in sleepless nights, empty chairs at Sunday dinners, in the uncertainty that slips through the door when the world feels beyond our control. It is also measured in the grace with which we meet each other's fears. Let us not forget the lesson America learns in every war and every crisis. What we do out there must always honor what we hold dear at home. We must ask, does our strength abroad protect our freedom here, or does it risk it? This, too, is a contradiction at the heart of the Republic, one every generation must wrestle to the ground. What does it mean, then, to be brave in a democracy? Is it simply to follow the leader, or to always speak with one voice? Or is it something braver still, to seek understanding over blame, law over raw power, and a future shaped by all, not only a few? These are not easy matters, but easy times do not forge great citizens. The fires of worry and doubt are the forges in which democracy grows wise. Picture a factory back at work before sunrise. A worker ties his boots, worried not just for the next paycheck, but for his cousins serving in uniform. He listens to the morning news and wonders whether the names called out will soon include someone dear to him. He sighs, stands, and walks onto the floor, the machinery starting up like the heartbeat of the country. What do we owe to him? We owe what America has always owed its people, a government careful with their trust, respectful of their sacrifice, and honest about the burdens it asks them to bear. When decisions as grave as war are made without their voice, a bond is stretched thin, and it can snap if not repaired. What happens when power outruns process? The answer, drawn from history and hard experience, is that democracy suffers, not always at once, but gradually. First, in the suddenness with which news arrives, leaving Congress, and with it, the people, little time for debate. Then, in the quiet moments when Americans wonder if their say matters at all. Imagine a high school debate team in rural Ohio, their teacher urging them to learn both sides before choosing their own. The lesson, so old it is nearly forgotten, is that strong nations do not fear honest argument. They welcome it as the engine of progress. And so we arrive at the crux. Will the Republic drift toward rule by a handful, or reclaim the deliberate, sometimes messy practice of self-government? That answer is written not only by leaders, but by citizens. A million choices made daily, some loud, many quiet, all important. In these days, I am reminded of a parable told in the mining towns of West Virginia. When the mine floods, no man escapes on his own. Each must link arms, shout their names aloud, and pull each other to high ground. That is the American way. No single voice atop the mountain, but a chorus, strained and in tune, finding new hope in the echo. Is this easy? Of course not. But all things worth building, the bridges, the hospitals, the schools, require time and trust. So too does a nation's soul. Let us pause now, friends, to picture a church potluck on a blustery Sunday afternoon. Neighbors bring what food they have, sharing among friends and strangers alike. Talk turns from weather to war, but in the warmth of the fellowship hall, anxiety yields, if only for an hour, to a sense of belonging and the old belief that tomorrow can be better if faced together. The greatest danger is not from missiles or militias. It comes from cynicism, the slow, bitter doubt that my voice does not matter, that our system is too broken or too slow to make a difference. It is the belief that the Republic is lost, the Constitution hollowed out, that only outrage or silence can answer these times. But America's story says otherwise. Time after time she has stumbled, argued, worried, and prayed, yet always at the edge of despair, rediscovered her capacity to heal, to reform, and, above all, to hope. Tonight, that healing is our charge. We must demand that Congress reassert its voice in matters of war and peace, even when passions run hot. We must require from those entrusted with power the humility to respect both the law and the people it serves. But more than this, we must tend the fabric that binds us. Neighbor reaching out to neighbor, citizens refusing to turn away from each other's pain. Will we meet this challenge? I believe we will. For America has never sustained perfection, but she has always mustered courage. Not all news is black and white, not all decisions are easy, but the Republic can be saved. Picture, as we close, a child tugging at her father's sleeve as he stands listening by the radio. For a moment, his worries fade, and he lifts her up. She asks, "Will it be all right?" And he answers, soft but sure, "Yes, if we stand together." So, tonight, I leave you with this question, one I hope you carry to every table, every meeting, every place where the future is quietly made. What kind of citizen will I be when history pauses and asks not what I feared, but what I dared to do for the good of all? For in that answer, quietly spoken in 1,000 homes, the Republic finds its strength and hope again and again.